You're saying that, yeah, God is the guy who done everything, yeah?
I'm not saying that.
I'm just saying, he's the guy who done everything, yeah?
The guy that done everything.
So then we got Zeus trying to claim.
Yeah, but I'm
to
saying
be like
you
this
can't
guy.
start off wrong and go down that road. So
it's not wrong to say I'm a god, innit? Yeah.
No, it's not, because this is what Jesus was saying.
Yeah,
he was like, "You're killing me for saying."
But my point I'm trying to get to,
Son of God.
Is it wrong for me then to say I want to be worshipped and praised? Do they visit back to Earth? How often as well?
Who?
What's the thoughts on like taking shrooms, like magic mushrooms?
The Wu-Sabat is so practical. Like when people say, "I saw Jesus," of course he's not here, but we would ask him questions like, "What did he look like?"
Yeah.
Because people have been given an image and a painting of what Jesus looks like, and there's so many different pictures. Every race vibrates on a particular frequency. Your body vibrates on a frequency, different tones.
Yeah.
And the beings that you connect with that are linked to your blood and your lineage, they vibrate with you.
Hi, my name's Jamal. I'm here today to talk to Sakem with I got some questions to ask. So yeah, we're just gonna get straight into it really. That's about it, yeah.
So yeah, I'm Saken. This series of videos we call Each One Teach One because it's about conversations, it's about us reasoning and trying to basically decipher a lot of information. Some is misinformation and we use Wu-Sabat to really clear up the misconceptions and like the misinformation. And Wu-Sabat is the future. It's our culture, it's our way of life as Sabians or Nuwapians, brought to us by our, master teacher, Partner Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Ziyuk, as is known by many people. And it's really something to bring about this new change that we call in the Aquarian age, the sun cycle, the transition in terms of levels of consciousness of people on the planet. It's about uplifting humanity and bringing about, it may sound corny, but world peace. Because really that's what we all want, innit? Yeah. So yeah, be happy to take any questions that you have and let's build.
Yeah, so some of these questions are from my girl as well still.
Okay.
So, but when any questions of my own.
Your girl, yeah?
Yeah, my girl.
Right, why you say my girl? Because men, we like to say that, like, my girl, like you own her.
Kind of do, but kind of don't.
So yeah, let's get into it.
But she had a question that she wanted to know, are there any chants we can do to connect to the Neteru people?
Are there any chants?
Any chants, like.
Chants.
Chants, yeah.
Okay, I thought you said chants. Yeah, we do. This is why language is so important, because when we're speaking English, you have to say, is that the best way to communicate? And the thing is, with English, most people that read, Bibles, Qurans, or any kind of religious books, because when you're starting to deal with why or how do you do things, most people are reading it in the English. And so the translation, or things get lost in translation. This is why having our own language, Miss Batia, is so important, because when you're chanting or when you're talking or praying or, conversating with a being, you need to know, well, what language do they speak, and are they able to hear you, and are they able to respond back to what you're doing. But yes, so there are chants in our culture that we do to connect with the Neteru.
Okay, cool. Also wanted to know, do they visit back to Earth? How often as well?
Who?
The Neteru, and some of them here now as well.
Yeah.
Like the higher beings though.
Okay. When you're saying Neteru, yeah, obviously that's a Miss Batia word. People who have studied, say, Egyptology or into like, because what it is, you're trying to find out who you're talking to or communicating with, who they are, and without knowing who you're talking to, it can be like confusing. So people who study like, okay, if we want to go like to the source, you have to go back you have to go backwards, like who was there first, right? So the youngest religion is like, in terms of the monotheistic religion, is Islam. It's like 1400 years old. And then you have, before that, the New Testament, which is like 2000 years old. And then before that, you will have what people call the Old Testament, which would be like 4,000 years old, yeah? And then once you get to that point, because people will be reading the Bible like this is the beginning. But when you start to study, you realize this is not the beginning. And so you'll be like, who was here before the Bible or before the Hebrew? Then you end up with other cultures, you know, like the Chinese, the Hindus, the Mayans, the Zoroastrians, the Egyptians, the Sumerians, right? When you start to get into the Egyptians, the word for these beings is referred to as Neteru, Neteru. But that word is what became nature in English.
Okay.
But in the language that these beings actually spoke, it would be Neteru. And this is what we're talking about when we're saying we're calling a Neteru. And the Neteru are beings that have elevated to such a height that they come down from different realms here. But we are also connected to them because we are their offspring as the original people on the planet, because they seeded this planet with their DNA, with their genes.
Yeah.
And they're at different levels, just like we are at different levels. So when you say Neteru, you can look at yourself in the mirror and you are part of the Neteru.
Yeah.
It's just like saying God.
Yeah.
That's a very limiting title that religion tries to use to describe them. And different cultures describe them in different ways. So when you go to the ancient, like the Sumerians, they will refer to them as the Anunnaki. And in the Bible, they became known as the Elohim, and different words that are describing who they are. So people are just like confused, but when you walk backwards, you get back to the original beings being the Neteru, who came here, seeded this planet, and then you have other beings that came from different star systems, and they came here, and then because the evolution was already taking place with those beings that were already seeded here, they mixed in with those beings, even though some of them were not allowed to or were not supposed to come here.
Yeah.
You see, so this is where you start to get different beings that have come to the planet, and everyone's got a different interest here. So yeah, the confusion is what we will clear up by way of Wu-Sabat.
So Neteru is like, is it a language and a people?
Yeah,
Combined.
That's what I'm saying about with culture, you have a language. And when you speak in that language, you use that language to describe whatever it is you're talking about. And that's what I'm saying, like English is one of the youngest, and it's not the most clear version to try and translate other languages from. You see, this is where a lot of things get lost in translation. So in English, for example, it becomes angels and gods in the Bible. And then when you start to probe into, okay, who are these angels? You get names given to you like Michael, Gabriel, and so on. But you say, okay, what is that name in another language? Then you will go to like the Greek, and then it'll be like angels will be angelos. And then if you want to say a specific person, you'll be like, you know, like I said, Michael, but in Arabic it will be Mikael. Or in Hebrew it'll be like Malachi. You know, in the Sumerians it's gonna be Murdoch. So depending on what language you
get different translations.
You get in different translations. And this is where all the Chinese whispers come in, until you can go, okay, let's break it down to like, you have to always try and go back to the original as far as possible, or the source, because it's like, you know, it's like having a root and then you have branches that come off from that tree. And then there's just like different branches, and everyone gets kind of lost or confused because everyone is seeing things from their perspective, from like their culture, from their books, from whatever evidence they've actually found. but you can't get any older than the African, or what they call the African.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so
First.
that's what it is. And each of these beings have got children on the planet. And not everyone comes from the same, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the same star system.
The same source, the same, that's what I'm saying. It's like, even when you say star system, to a lot of people,
Sounds
what
mad.
is that?
Yeah.
Most people don't even study or know about star systems because they just tell you heaven is up there. And then you're just left with that. And then when you ask or probe further, where is up there? They will just say heaven. But when you go into the language of the books and ask, what does it actually say? And the different languages will say things like Shamayim, which is just up there.
Okay.
Or they will give you names of places like Arcturus, Pleiades, Orion, Kisil. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and then when you start to go, oh, you look at the star maps, you start to, like, you can actually get star maps that give you all the constellations, different names and everything, going back to the different cultures.
Supposedly the three wise men found Jesus by following the stars, innit?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
Supposedly, innit?
This is a story.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of
Allegedly.
That's what you have to say, allegedly, because when you start to probe into where's that story coming from? What book are we reading? What language is it? Who recorded it? When did they record it? How do they know about it? You know what I mean? We go into the questions. Yeah, so when you do that, you get to the bottom line that a lot of these are just stories that have been remixed and copied and passed on from culture to culture, and ends up in English, which most people speak today, you know. But yeah, keep
So
going.
another one. What's the thoughts on like taking shrooms, like magic mushrooms, like psychedelics that, you know, activate the neurological pathways and that.
I mean, the thing with things like that is that you're trying to induce or trying to have an experience and you're forcing it instead of doing it naturally. Because if you have to take something to try and create that buzz, then already that's not the way to go. So we don't teach in Wu-Sabat to take any drugs or any intoxicants. Yeah, because when you do and you have an experience, then you can make that up. Like it's like when somebody's intoxicated, they can see all kinds of things and it plays with your mind, and it's like you can imagine all sorts of things, or even be affected by beings that are vibrating on those different frequencies, and they'll play with your mind and make you see all kinds of things. So when you say what's your thoughts,
because I do know we ain't meant to really be doing those things, innit? Like I burn, innit, now and again, innit? Like so I burn. Well, I'll be clear on that. Still like weed, innit? You know what I'm saying? So
but why? Is it a habit, or is it because
it's a bad habit. To be honest,
why do you say it's a bad habit?
Because I know it's not really good.
Yeah, but why?
Because
if you know it's not good and you're still doing it, that doesn't compute.
Yeah, well, it's like the body's become addicted to it as well at the same time.
Yeah.
And I can't.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, how did you even start?
I started like as a young boy, like.
Yeah.
You could say it was influenced, didn't it?
Right.
Because it was at school.
Yeah.
The back of the fields.
Yeah.
And kind of.
But you know why I'm saying that? Because I've come from that too. So I'm saying if you speak to most people, young men, or just general, a lot of people, they will tell you that they burn or they, do you know what I mean? But if you trace it back to like the first time you did or why did you do it, you will find out it was some kind of influence. Yeah, it was influenced by someone, or, you know, the need to have suppress something. Like a lot of people do it to get away from reality. And a lot of people saying that they're holding the meds, which is like, you know, holding a meditation. But really, I say medicine because you're taking something that
it's a substance, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a substance, and you're hoping that it will help you through maybe some kind of trauma. Sometimes it's just because of the feeling. It feels good.
The feeling,
But that feel-good factor is what leads a lot of people to a lot of problems. And not just weed, anything that feels good. Because what it is, you're trying to replicate being in a state of bliss or in a state of heightened consciousness. And the people that make these things or produce these things, they know what effect it has. Like you're saying, psychedelic. And you know, it's like it affects a part of your brain, in the hippocampus region of your brain, which actually deals with hallucinations, and it makes you feel good, it makes you relax, it makes you, and like, that's because you're trying to access the higher level of yourself, but you don't actually need any kind of substance to do that, because you can do it naturally.
I know, because sometimes I'm on a natural high too as well.
Yeah.
And I'm naturally like energetic anyway, so I shouldn't really burn anyway, because when I do burn, it brings my energy lower.
Yeah.
When I'm naturally vibrating higher. And even with going back to the shrooms, I've done shrooms before, innit? And when you mention vibrating, there is like times where there's shifts in it. Because if I speak about experience, like I have seen things vibrating, like the trees start moving different, everything slows down a bit, like it's kind of mad still.
And that's what I'm saying, like, but when it wears off, you're back to reality.
The come down was calm, it was cool. It's a good vibe.
Yeah, I know, but when you say it's a good vibes, the word vibes means what? Vibration. Right? So we know there are different states of vibration. Everything vibrates. But the lower vibrations are not really as good as the higher vibrations. And what it is, you're trying to tap into high vibrations so that you can elevate yourself, your consciousness, your being, and ultimately to connect with beings that are vibrating on a higher level, so that, you know, you can try to be and live as you're supposed to live. And so people fake it by, you know, some people just drown themselves in like alcohol, or as you say, you know, cigarettes, you know, weed, psychedelic drugs, all of these things, but they actually are having a negative effect on you, because you have beings that are vibrating on those lower vibrations that will utilize your being on your body to do what they want to experience in this physical world, or on the lower levels of vibration. You see,
See, I'm aware of some of these things too, but I guess I don't know. It's just I don't know.
What's your
human nature? I don't know, because like even with the shrooms thing now, if you asked me about this years ago, I wouldn't have done it, because I was just burning weed, innit? That's all. But I think when I started to learn more about more spiritual things coming out of the Christian background and things like that, I was more open. I'm kind of like an open-minded truth seeker, innit? So when I did my research about the shrooms and that, I realized it ain't that bad as if like me going like bunning crack or bunning heroin, or, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a bit more mad to me, do you know what I'm saying? But
you said I'm a true seeker.
Truth seeker.
Oh, truth. Right,
seeker.
So you want to know the truth,
yeah,
basically. Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like Wu-Sabat is the truth, you know what I'm saying? So, like...
It is, 100%.
Yeah.
But you have to establish that for yourself. It's not really somebody telling you this is the truth, because people will say that to you.
I felt that for myself. I told myself that I feel that it's the truth.
Right.
So no one really had to come to me and tell me that, do you know what I'm saying?
So now you feel is the truth. What next?
I feel that also I need to make a change in it and drop some of these bad habits like the burning and other things that...
Why though?
Why? Because it's not gonna...
No, I'm saying, what's your reason for
wanting to do it?
To drop it?
So you can be the supreme being, innit?
Okay.
And then like not have to keep coming back here, or...
Do you know, what would you understand or know?
Well, before I come across you and the whole Wu-Sabat thing, I just felt like we just need to be the best versions of ourselves, innit? So obviously coming from the Christian background, I know that you need to be more positive than good, innit? I mean, more positive than bad, like be more good. Yeah. That's not my words in that.
No, that's cool.
But you know what I'm saying?
So were you born into?
Yeah, I was born into it,
Christianity?
yeah. So I was from the womb, Church of God Seventh Day.
Seventh Day Adventist?
Not Adventist, but Church of God Seventh Day.
Okay.
That's what the
name of the church
is,
right.
yeah. So I've been.
Do you know why it was called that?
No, not. I don't know why they called it that, but what I would say, if I'm gonna mess up,
that's cool.
I know that well, the reason why they may have called it the seventh day, because that's supposedly when God rested on the seventh day.
So why does God need to rest?
After the work he put in it, building. After the work he put in building the world and that, he had to take a little break, innit? So like,
he did it in 7 days.
Yeah, 7 days. So they say, this is the day we should rest and not be involved in the world on this day as much, and just give your praises to God and
hocus pocus.
Yeah, like rejoice and whatnot. You get me?
Yeah,
so,
that's the story, because it doesn't make sense if you really analyze it. But yeah, so what made you decide that it wasn't for you, or how did you start to know that that wasn't the truth?
Knowing more about Africa.
Okay.
Like just coming. I don't know. It's like I can't really explain all the stages I came across it, but just knowing about Africa and knowing that there was more than slavery.
Right.
There was kings and queens. Like it wasn't just slavery. You know what I'm saying? I started to find out other things, and then that's it. Cause I remember when I first met you as well, I told you that I was one of my brothers showed me about Kemet. So then I realized, and then we was discussing that how really the Bible come from the teachings of Kemet. So I was like, okay, so man knows that now. That's the real truth then. Yeah. That man has stole this and stole that. It's really that. Okay, cool. And then I come across you. Yeah. And I realized like, okay.
Kemet's when you say you come across me, you mean like...
Yeah, like I start seeing your videos online and that, because before I come across you, I told you before, I was like, look, I saw young Pharaoh and that, before he kind of went down this other path he's on, like... Yeah. A bit different, like whatever, but he's on now. And then I come across who was before that as well. Can't remember anyway, but yeah. Where was I?
You're talking about Africa and then...
Yeah, Africa. I'm thinking, knowing that's the truth. And that's it, Kemet. And then when I come across Wu-Sabat now, I was like, okay, so cool. It's not only Kemet, it's actually Wu-Sabat before that too. So the Kemet teachings come from that too. So I was like, and because I know that the Bible's got more lie in it, and there's a bit of truth, sometimes I will still read it sometimes and just to see what it's saying.
How did you know that it had lies in it?
Because by the stuff I come across about Africa and things like that as well. So I kind of like put it together, like weighing up the odds and that, like just breaking it down a piece of my own mind, and I was like, something ain't really...
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not really making full sense and that, so... And then because so much lies and what the colonizers done and that, like, and obviously knowing that, obviously coming from the Christian background as well, knowing that like the people running the world, they're Satan's children and things like that. So it's like, even though there's full of lie, there's some you can take some bits from it that's true, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the bait. You know when you go fishing, you put the little worm at the and then you that's the bait. So when you're looking at the Bible and these books, they've taken a bit of truth from the originals, which is enough to draw you in, and then the rest of it is just like untruths. Yeah. So that's what they do with that, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't take the time out to do the research. And that's why when Dr. Yule came on the scene, he was like, I wanted to teach you about who you really are. But because most people were not ready to really face, and even till today, people are not ready to face the truth about the real truths about these books and these beings that are being spoken about in the book. And they're just like scared, because if you look at what these beings are saying to people and how they're behaving, it's putting fear in you. It's saying like, you either follow what I say and do this or do that, or you're going to be burnt in hell forever. That makes people afraid. Yeah. And so the people who follow that, they all teach and preach that. So a lot of people are afraid to like ask questions because they even tell you not to ask questions.
Yeah, all them things there as well. Like that's why I never really, even though I never got baptized and that, like certain things never really sat with me properly. You know what I'm saying? Like, and yeah, I've always had a question in mind as well.
So yeah, you mentioned about you were listening to someone who gave you like their accounts of their experience of you know, the spiritual world and something like that.
I was telling you earlier about the guy who said he saw.
Yeah. How did you just come across that?
Yeah, I just come across that video.
Right.
On YouTube, but I was saying that I feel that you need to break that one down because I can't really.
Right.
We'd have to either watch it together as well.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of.
But I mean, you can relate to me what you picked up from it so far.
So he was saying that he basically saw the fallen angels fall.
He saw the fallen angels
he just
fall.
Like you got access into the heavens. You've seen Jesus.
Okay.
What else is he saying?
But what, he saw them falling recently? No, because what I'm saying is with Wu-Sabat, we go into the details because he said he saw them falling. That means they fell how many thousands of years ago? So
I don't know.
Or is it a replay of a video that he was watching?
Maybe it's a spiritual, I don't know.
Too many maybes.
Replay thing that he was able to see.
You know what, Wu-Sabat is so practical. Like when people say, I saw Jesus, of course he's not here, but we would ask him questions like, what did he look like?
Yeah.
Because people have been given an image and a painting of what Jesus looks like. And there's so many different pictures. And it's the same with most of these monotheistic religions. Like you have an image in your head. So what people don't realize is like when you say, I saw Jesus, it's going to be an image that you've stored in your head. Because if you've never seen that person or that being before, how do you know what they look like? How do you even know that's them?
You just gave me a thought as well because imagine if there was no pictures of Jesus, like the white Jesus and that.
Yeah.
Then how would you even...
That's my point. Because when you ask people, you saw Jesus, okay, let's go into it. Like, what was he wearing? What was his complexion? What was his hair texture? You know, how tall was it? Do you know what I mean? What clothes was he wearing? Do you know, when you start going into the detail, then you find out like, it's either some kind of illusion that they've actually made up themselves, because this is how you know. Everyone who gives you an account of seeing Jesus or seeing an angel or something, they always give it to you based on what the religion they were from gave them as an image. You see what I mean? Like a Muslim won't generally see Jesus looking like a blonde hair, blue eye being, or Muhammad. They will see more Muhammad, or they will tell you about their visions being about Muhammad and so on. Like a Christian will see Jesus. But the point is that people can claim all kinds of things. And because, as we were just talking about, some people do take drugs and intoxicants and it could even be just movies and images that you've stored, and then you go to sleep, or you have what you consider a vision. But on a real note though, you do have extraterrestrials or beings that are on these realms, on vibrating on these, do you know what I mean, these realms, and they will project images to you to what you want to see.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you were brought up in a Christian home and you've always been a Christian, they would give you an experience.
I'll show you a white Jesus
and
or something.
Project, and you will believe it because now you've had an experience with that image. And that's the same with other religions as well. So there are some beings that are actually able to manipulate and give you illusions and pass themselves off as being the being that you want to see. You actually create those in your mind's eye. And we have a book called Reflection and Projection, which explains to you how all your life you store images subconsciously. And then when you have like dreams or visions or things like that, you reproduce those images and then relate it to something that, let's say you had an experience where a dog was barking at you, and then you go to sleep and one of those images becomes, do you know what I mean, like a monster or something, and it's barking at you. And you can believe something so much that you can project it and make it seem real when it's not actually real. You see, so with these people, you know, people can make all sorts of claims, but they don't make themselves available to be questioned and to prove what they're talking about, because you can't dispute a person's experience or a feeling. You know, if it made me feel so good, all right, cool. That's your feeling. But it doesn't mean that it's actual fact or something that you can then substantiate and prove it with evidence. And so this is all falls in the realm of belief, and people can believe whatever they want, you know, but you know, like we like to deal with actual facts and get to the bottom of things, because this is how people have been set astray, really, because they just believe in and following things without really knowing, you know. And another thing people do, because they don't have access to these people to question them, everybody comes to us to clear up the mess that they've been given by someone else. And then we're like, well, we can't really speak for them. They've got to defend what they're saying. Like we defend Wu-Sabat and give you like the evidence based on what we know and what we've researched. But yeah, go on. Any other questions you have?
Another one. I wanted to know, where did the Indians come from?
They come from us. Everyone comes from us. Meaning that we are the original. And we're not just saying that from a egotistical point of view. It's from science and facts of, all right, the remains of who has been found to be the oldest is always in Africa. Do you know what I mean? But when you're looking at, when you say Indian as well, that's a specific term.
Well, Punjabi type Indian.
But what I'm saying is that the classification is just like saying a black person. You know what I mean? It's like there's so many different types of black people, different species. And what you're saying there is really the Asian stock. Do you know what I mean? And they're different types. But the way, if we want to look at the races on the planet, we being the original were first.
The Neteru,
Yeah, from the Neteru.
From the Neteru.
And then you have, if you look at the color of our skin, for example, most will say we're black, but we're really brown.
Brown, yeah.
But that brown is because we rusted.
Yeah, I remember I heard that we used to be blue or green. Or
exactly, depending on what environment you were in. And if you look at an Indian person, to use your term, they look like the same skin, but the one thing that's different is the hair texture.
Yeah. And they're a little bit lighter, some of them.
Yeah, well. I mean, there's different shades.
Yeah,
but
complexion,
yeah, because their origins really go back to what we call Javadu. Or what people say Hindus, because they came from us. And then if you look at...
But how did they come from us though? If it's us, then when did we create then another...
But again, another word that people use like us and we, and you'd have to go back to the stars, because like we said, there are different star systems, and even within the stars, our ancestors would be the ones that were first, which we refer to as the Neteru. But remember that humans on the planet Earth, they only go to the beginning of what they know to be the beginning. But we don't start from the planet Earth. We go beyond that. Like other beings, the extraterrestrials that go beyond the planet Earth. So different star systems had different beginnings or different origins, but they all come from us, you see. So then if you look at a Caucasian, you're looking at an Asian being, which would be like an Indian, with the same straight fur, but now without the color, where they're not pale. So if you look at African to Asian to Caucasian, you can see the genetic getting weaker. And then obviously you have different mixtures of everyone, giving you sub-races. But the original DNA and genes comes from the first beings.
But why was that even, that race or the other branch,
why was
it even engineered or created? Why though? Why?
Okay, because this then takes us to the stars, and it goes into a story that you were calling whether your friend or the person you were talking said they saw the fallen angels. So, and this is where...
because they mixed. Is it because they mixed? I don't know.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that whole story about some beings falling, even in like, whether it's Islam, Christianity, they always talk about fallen angels and these angels that fell from grace. That's what happened. That's where that came in, because they got cursed with that 6 ether hair because they rebelled or fell from grace. And that was like a genetic weakening from us, you see, but it manifested as in their 6 ether hair. And that's what you're talking about when you're saying the fallen angels. And they would tell you like there were like a third of them rebel with the being they're calling the devil or Iblis, and they were cast down here and they came down here. That's what happened. And they're referred to as the 200 fallen angels. And where they resided when they came here was in like India, in Bali, and people talk about the land of Nod. And that's what they're talking about when these fallen angels came down to the planet Earth. And they were kind of condemned here. And then you have others that, a third of them that came, but they didn't take on human flesh or bodies. So they're still around, but they're just not in human form. And they also producing and reproducing. So that's kind of literally what happened. But that story goes to the heavens before coming to the planet Earth.
And also, you made me think of something else when you're talking about when they fell, yeah? So were they at war with...
Sorry, let me just finish that. It's like, so then, from them, you can see how the Caucasian came about. Because, again, in the Bible, and they pick up these stories, but they just give it to you in the layman's way. But they will say that Noah, because remember, they will say there was a flood, everybody was wiped off the planet, and then the only people that were saved were Noah and the people that he put on in the ark. Even though that's a very basic story, then they say when they came out of the ark, one of Noah's sons was cursed. And it tells you cursed be Canaan. Yeah? No, it actually says, cursed be Canaan, and he'll be a slave. And when you look at Canaan, originally they thought that it was Ham, because remember that Ham is one of Noah's sons. But when it says cursed be Canaan, it was talking in the future tense where Canaan or Canaan would be cursed from Ham. But originally, people that didn't really study or understand that properly, they were just looking at Ham, and they said that it was black people that were cursed, because the word Ham goes back to, like you say, Kemet or Chem, and that means black. So, but it wasn't him, it was his son who was cursed with being an albino or an albino.
Okay.
But that wasn't a curse, that was just the genetics.
Yeah.
The curse came when he was given leprosy.
Okay.
So then now you can see how an albino is a lighter version of a black person. But they're still black.
Being,
but not every albino is going to be having leprosy. You see what I mean? So Canaan was black. It's just that he had less melanin.
Yeah.
And so without the melanin, it meant that he couldn't really stay in the sun, because the sun will affect you when you don't have the protection from the melanin. So he was called a Highlander, or he moved to like the mountains where it was cooler.
Yeah, the Caucasus.
That's where the whole Caucasian from the Caucasus Mountains comes from. So you can see how genetically you can see the DNA or the melanin getting
more recessive gene in it.
We're weaker.
All right, that kind of answers that one a piece still,
Yeah.
What else did they want to...
I feel like...
But these are questions that
she was asking. That's what I'm saying. I feel like you might want to ask your own questions.
I have to chop this up a piece as well still.
No problem.
Number one. We was talking earlier, I'm a 9, she's an 8, because remember she's Indian.
Who's that?
My girlfriend.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She's Indian, so she's an 8. I'm a 9, melanated. And I remember you saying that she would take an ether from you.
I'm trying to hear the question. I don't want to just start talking.
Take one ether, so I'll become 8 now, and she's taking 1, so she's 9. What's that actually doing to me? Is that draining my energy too much?
It's not like
is it really affecting my being? And what's going on?
It's not like she takes an ether from you, even though classification we break it down like the Caucasian man is like 5 ether, the woman is 6 ether. Then, like you said, the Javadu or the Dravidians, Asians are like 7 and 8 ether, and we're 9 ether. But what you're referring to in terms of what she's taking from you is one of your seats or your chakras.
One of my artists is chakra thing.
Yeah, because like you say, she's drawing from you. But if you two are, say you were to separate, then, do you know what I mean?
I'll get the chakra back.
Yeah, if you rebuild yourself.
Can I get it back by even still being with her? Right, another way for me.
Well, you're exchanging, you're exchanging bodily fluids, and you're literally. It's like if you had offspring, the offspring's still gonna be. Your genetics are still gonna be stronger.
Yeah.
But it's like the higher comes down because the lower takes from the higher.
So what if you're with 9-9?
Well, that's the best way to really be, but obviously...
Nothing can't be taken, no?
Because you're both on the same level, isn't
it?
Yeah. It's. I mean, you can look at it even more simpler than that. It's just like, if you were both 9 and you had 9 ether here, when you have an offspring, it's going to be 9 ether.
Yeah.
But if one of you is, say, 6 ether and one is 9 ether in terms of hair texture, then the hair texture is going to come out weaker. It's just like the same if a Nagaru or a Negroid was to mix with a Caucasian, the child that's coming out is going to be slightly weaker because of the different mixture. So it's just about genetics, and it's about who gains and who loses. Because whenever you come in contact with two people, one will gain and one will lose in terms of the exchange of whatever, energy, fluids, whatever. But obviously, if you love somebody and you're with them and you guys are happy and that's what you want, then, but I guess a lot of times it's more about, do they accept your way of life? Because one or the other is going to have to give, isn't it? It's like,
of course.
It's like if you're a Muslim and someone's a Christian, like what way of life, what culture, what like practices are you going to follow?
Well,
are you going to do both? It gets a bit confusing. That's why we in Wu-Sabat, we really say no one wins the race in racism, meaning that it's really about, it's not about people, places and things. It's not about colors. It's about vibration. It's about what are you doing by way of your actions. You know what I mean? What are you doing for the world, for humanity, to uplift? Yeah. But obviously it's their choice who they choose to love or like be with. For us, we look at things from a very practical point of view. We look at it from about retaining and keeping the bloodline as pure as possible, just like most other races do. And we would encourage 9 and 9 as opposed to, going down or lower. But we're not here to dictate to people who to, be with. Like the master teachers, one of his sayings is, we stay out of everyone's bedrooms. That's not none of our business. It's like, whatever they want to do, that's their choice. As long as it doesn't impact on us, it's not our business. Yeah. I mean, I could go into a little bit more, like how or why did you go down that route as opposed to?
I'm normally with 9. Like as I said, I was speaking to you earlier. My daughter's mother.
I mean, you don't have to go into your
I'm just saying, but I'm not
going
going mad deep, but like it was with a melanated being in the full 9 ether. Yeah. But I think it's more to where I kind of like see beauty. Like I love women in it, and like I can see beauty in all of them in it, no matter their skin shade in it, and I will dabble at times in it, type of thing. Like
But you see, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, from you say you want to be a supreme being.
Yeah, I know. I hear you on that too as well. But
and I was just gonna say, like the dabble thing, and it sounds very casual, and that's what I'm saying. With Wu-Sabat in our culture, it's not about. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know it's more deep and it's more strict and more militant in a way. Do you know what I'm saying? It's more organized. It's a certain.
It's not really militant, but it's just like, what's the best outcome? And
I get it. But is it even like when you were saying earlier, why do you want to stop smoking and things like that? Because you kind of know what's the right thing to do in a way. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but.
Let's talk about your journey. Not to
say that it's wrong that I can date outside of my group or whatnot. Do you know what I mean?
But depends on what you mean by wrong and how do you define right.
Some people view it as like wrong though, like really.
Yeah, but why? Because people can say it's wrong, but why?
Some will say it's wrong because we're not meant to mix our genes and things like that. We should stay within our group and that. Like I do follow people like Dr. Umar as well. I see like his stuff and like and people might say, oh, you follow Dr. Umar, you see his work. Why have you done this and rare? But it's like I still got my own choice.
But he says bunny hopping or something. He doesn't.
Yeah, he calls it snow bunny hopping. Snow bunny thing like that.
It's funny. I like Dr. Umar. He keeps it real.
Yeah, and I do like learning about the African culture and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? But you got. Also look at the same way, like we're here in England and whatnot, and there's so many things that we're what's the word? Kind of like the programming and that. Like maybe if mum was in Africa,
but the way you're saying is like, I mean, again, I don't want to get into like there's no black girls in England.
Yeah, I'm not putting a blame in it because I'm saying I'm more
women,
on the 9 ether thing. I was more like, don't get me wrong, I don't. Not love our women. Don't get it twisted, like because this thing might not work and I'm back to 9 again. You know what I'm saying? You never know how it goes, innit? But because I'm open, probably that's why I've
but that's what I'm saying. That it's when you say you're open, this is why Wu-Sabat, in terms of knowledge, there's a reason and an explanation for everything. We don't just do things, you know what I mean, just for the sake of it. We have to. If you're 9 mind supreme being. You have to think about the best outcome. Yeah. You know what I mean? For yourself, for your, you know what I mean, your offspring, for your, you know what I mean, whatever. So, yeah, I think we've kind of covered that point. But let me say, what's your journey in terms of Wu-Sabat so far then? Like, have you read any scrolls, any
I haven't read no scrolls yet. As it stands right now, I've just been watching the videos. Yeah. Of you online and that, and coming in, popping in the shop, speaking to you now and again.
Yeah. Because that would be a recommendation. The first step is to really, because it's like, the best analogy is like, you know, a computer. A computer needs programs to run. Yeah. And depending on what software, or a phone, depending on what apps you put into the phone can be then useful in terms of what it can do. Yeah. So for Wu-Sabat, the programs are like the books and the scrolls because they're upgrading you. Because the more you know, the more you study, the more you're realizing that it has an effect on your being. Yeah. Like it actually like has an effect on your DNA, your vibration and everything. That's why we say these videos are great, good to have conversations because people can relate. A lot of people don't read no more. A lot of people just prefer to watch videos because it's like easier multimedia, but you still need to exercise your brain as well, and that will lead you to be able to kind of like think or tap into the higher realms even more because you know, like videos are great, but it's like if you wanted to get muscles on your arm, you have to actually exercise the arm. It's the same with your brain and your mind. You have to exercise it to get.
I think that probably might have to be the next step then, innit? Because I feel like I watch the videos enough and I feel like I'm kind of hearing the same things, people asking the same questions. And I don't always asking questions. I feel like I know quite a bit, but I still know I need to know more. Yeah. But and that's why I ask when I need to ask. I'm just asking for the sake of asking, you know what I'm saying? I took it for the sake of talking.
And that's a good point because like someone might watch the videos, even of the master teacher, and they will hear the same questions and answers, and he explained that most of the time people don't retain
the information.
So repetition is the way to reinforce that information. And sometimes somebody might ask the same question, but get a different answer or more information, because we have so much information that somebody can ask me a question and I will tap into the archives and I will break down something from that angle. And somebody might ask me the same question again, and I will remember some more information.
So sometimes I hear things different as well.
So every time you hear it, it's different, because there are little nuggets and little things that keep being added. And so that's why, one, repetition is good, because you only retain like maybe 10% of what you read. So if you read it like over and over again, you retain a different 10% every time. Because every time you read, you're like, oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, you see something different.
And depending on your state of mind as well, like if you're relaxed, if you're calm, you're gonna pick up more information. So if you read a book like 7 times, you've got 70% of it now, because you retain 10% every single time you read it. So repetition is key. Even as a musician or someone that's learning an instrument, the more you repeat something, the more it sticks. So it's okay to hear the same information over and over and over again. However, there will always be more to add to that question.
So I was saying I should, you like that book you showed me upstairs?
Yeah.
You said that's a good starter one. I should get on that. So I think maybe I should start taking in some reading certain books and certain scrolls.
Definitely.
And ask when I want to ask again, you know what I mean?
That's the way, the approach should be. You read the books, and then there's something you don't get or don't understand, then you ask a question on that, you get that cleared up. And then you read the next book and the next book. What people are doing now, which is a bit of a bad habit because they don't want to read, or if you can't read, obviously it's different, isn't it? Like, but they just, they don't really think about their question. They bounce off of other people's questions, you know. But when you're really thinking about what you want to know, because your inner being is yearning for this information, for this Wu-Sabat information that will help it grow. Because if you don't grow, you have to think about your transition or the next level from here. And some people are just bound here. They'll never really transcend here because they haven't grown or built up enough, for lack of a better word, energy to move on to the next stage. It's like, imagine you're in school, but you never finish a particular grade. Like, you don't graduate to the next grade. You're just gonna be stuck.
And that's some of the reason why man wants to do the stop the smoking and certain things like that, because that could affect man from reaching the higher realms. And man cross over, innit? I might come back and I want to come back, and the man don't like it here anyway.
Why don't you want to come back? Why don't you like it here?
It's dead here. Like, there's nothing. Listen, if I'm not flying out, like going on holiday and stuff like that, it's not great. It's not great if I'm not with my daughter and things. It's not. You know, I'm saying, like, bro, being in this country anyway, dead weather. I'm saying, it keeps your vibration, well, me anyway.
Yeah, because the sun is lacking sun.
Children of the sun, we need the sun. We're meant to be in Africa. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, and then the corruption, the world leaders and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? These draconians and whatnot. Why you want to be here, really? I don't want to be here, bro.
But that's where Wu-Sabat comes in, because it's about changing the world, changing the vibration, changing the frequency.
But those guys have got to go though.
Well, I mean, you say those guys.
Those guys have got to go. For it to be proper better,
but this is happening anyway, naturally, natural nature. This is what I'm saying, like, people have to understand that there's, like, different levels to everything. Like, natural nature has cycles, and certain things just get extinct, or where there comes a time where it's like weather, or like the seasons. When it's summertime, everything in the winter changes, and when it's winter, everything changes, you see? So it's the same with when you look at nature on a wider scale. And what we're really talking about is that we're in a different day and time now where, you know, certain beings that are causing the chaos and the problems on the planet have to go. And this is what we're talking about.
How are they gonna go though? It's like,
it's been programmed in them. It was by design. And this is tying into why, if you read this is what I'm saying, a lot of the stories of the Bible, because people go into the religious world to say what they think is gonna happen. Because remember, most people just, if you ask them any information, they see God as the highest, or Allah. And then the books that come from these beings, they will read as if this is the word of these beings. And then they will say, let me try and live and follow this book. But the thing is, most people don't really study the book. Because if you study the book, it tells you about this time coming. So,
well, like in Revelation and that.
Exactly. Like in the Christian world, the book of Revelations will tell you that at the end of the world.
But that's going to be, some of it's going to be somewhat true in it, in Revelation, innit? Not fully, but like, obviously I know that, well, if I go back to church days and that.
But that's my point though. My point is that everyone talks about the cycles or the end times or the coming of a new change, or even if they want to say, oh, Jesus is coming back, or someone's coming back to save you, and you know, the old ways is gonna go, the devil's gonna be bound, or you know what I mean? Everyone talks about the change, but just how and when and how, going into the detail, is where Wu-Sabat comes in. Because it's really talking about information that we have known about for millennium, thousands of years. That's why we know that these cycles take place, like the 24,000 year cycles.
And the Aquarius thing and everything.
Yeah, we know about these things.
I know about the cycles are happening and whatnot, yeah, but like, my thing is that, right, these guys are still running the world and that, and they're still doing wicked and evil and that, like.
Why is that though? Because the people that are supposed to be running the world, i.e. those that have raised themselves, because when you look at a being that is doing things that don't make sense, that's going to harm the world or harm the peace or the harmony, if no other being is stepping up to the plate, then you're responsible, because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Well, not you personally, but I'm saying like the people that are supposed to know better, if they're not doing better, then you can't blame the person that is messing it up. Just like, imagine you put your children in a school. So you're already accepting that whoever you're giving your children to teach knows better than you. So then you can't complain when they teach them.
But, you know, you can always information. Me personally, you can, I'll reprogram my child anyway. When it can.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, why don't you have your own schools?
I was another thing I was talking to my girl earlier.
Not you on your own. I'm just saying, like, as collectively.
Yeah, but it's
like, if you look at, like you say, the people that are running the world are doing a bad job. So where are the counter?
But it's mad, because as a people, we don't have our own economic power structure in it. Like,
but the question is why?
Why? Because I don't fully know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, like,
we actually do. But let me let you finish.
Well, I don't know about in this country.
Okay.
Maybe abroad in other places. Like, I know, like, for example, take Dr. Umar, for example. He's got his own school. Yeah. Like, as a people, I feel that we need to have our own systems, like own hospitals, schools, libraries. You see, like how the Muslims got their thing, the Jews have got their own schools and things like that.
But you just said, not in this country, but then you just said they have it.
No, but they got it. But
but what I'm saying, if they can do it, why can't we?
But it's harder for us to do it for some reason. I don't know.
No, because you're thinking that way.
But listen, I've tried.
No, think about what you're saying. You're thinking that it's hard for us to do it. No, now, if everybody thinks that way, then it's going to be hard for us to do it. Because it's a collective mindset and energy that you're pushing out. And I'm saying, if you then compare yourself with everyone else, and you say, if they can do it, why can't you do it?
Ain't it part of the spell as well? Why
but the spell is broken now.
But is it really though?
Wu-Sabat is breaking the spell. That's why we're here.
I know.
You said you want to know and be a supreme being.
I know.
So then you have to act and behave like a supreme being. So you can't think that way.
As I said to you earlier, I'm trying to change the language and the thought process.
I know you're in the process, but I'm speaking in general as well. So I'm saying for everyone who thinks the way they think, remember, thoughts are powerful.
Yeah, no, it can become a real thing.
That's what we're doing. We're keeping that collective manifestation of we can't.
But you see, like, through certain experiences, I've tried to do things with people or whatnot of the same group and whatnot, and it don't really.
We know it don't work.
Yeah, it don't really work.
You know why it doesn't work? Because you're not on the same mentality.
Yeah, but then with some that we are, it does work. But it's just like you know when you say like some are gonna make it, some ain't. Sometimes I feel that you just got to work with the ones that are on the same...
That's right. That's what Wu-Sabat is about.
Same wave, same frequency,
You want the best team.
Yeah,
If you got a football team, don't you see when they're buying players? Everybody wants the best players.
Yeah.
Why? Because if you got the best goalkeeper, the best defense, the best midfield, best strikers against your opponent, you're stronger, innit?
Yeah, you should win.
So we want the best minds, minds. We want people that are not just talking it, that are going to actually put it to action. That's what the master teacher says, let it be known by your actions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't just talk about the problems, talk about the issues, we can't, and then say we're Africans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't add up. Like, either you can or you can't.
And don't get me wrong with that as well, because with the can't thing, I don't really say the can't thing as well.
Yeah.
Because I'll always say, like, take off the T and take off the apostrophe, it says can, innit?
Yeah.
But it's like, obviously I'm still trying to change the language and whatnot, but...
Every time we say but...
We should say however? Or is
what I'm saying is like, there's...
Another point, innit?
Not even the point, but it's more like... You know, like when people say, I'm sorry, and then they say but after, straight away. That means they're
trying
really
to justify.
Sorry. They're trying to justify
why they did what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
so I'm sorry, but you made me da-da-da-da-da. It's like...
Don't even say sorry.
Don't even say sorry.
Don't say sorry.
Yeah.
Just own it, innit?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that we've got to stop the buts, and in all ways, like most people spend their time on foolishness.
Yeah, for sure.
Shaking their butts, the butts again. Do you know what I mean? Or just like smoking weed, just being, you know what I mean? Just doing things that they know it's not bringing the best of them as a supreme being.
Yeah.
Both male and female. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, your mind governs how you operate. If your mind is not right, your body just follows.
I know.
So, and this is why when you say things don't work, this is the master teacher looked at everyone that has come in the past and tried to raise us or teach us or bring us together, not just us, but even worldwide, collectively. The reason it doesn't work, or the formula that works, is when your mentality changes. Because when people are on the same mental wavelength, they're vibrating on the right frequency. So things will work, because once you're united mentally, you're automatically united physically. But when there's a disjoint between the mind and the body, then it's like there's a separation, because you're thinking go left, the other person's thinking go right.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work. You have to both be thinking, well, we need to go right, because that's what makes sense. And then you both go right, and it works.
And then sometimes I feel that, like, right, if someone starts doing some of these things, like I was saying, like building up the black economics and whatnot, the like minds should come over and join and follow, and hopefully as a collective, everyone...
Yeah, I mean, we say we got more money than everyone else on the planet.
Supposedly, because we spend so much on the wrong things.
There you go.
So it shows that, but...
There you go, like...
Not everybody's awake, that's the thing, not everyone's awake though, to make these moves.
Yeah, that's what
not all of us are awake enough to make the moves.
That's why we have to spread the knowledge and get people to wake up, because they're walking and sleeping. And this is called a
sleepwalker.
The spell of sleep. The spell of ignorance. Because when I say we're the richest people, if you look at all the like celebrities, whether it's football, music, whatever, they're getting the most money because they get paid the most, even like to be a musician, a singer, a rapper. But collectively, all that money, they don't put it together and use their mind to build. You see, so that's the problem. Is
another thing as well, though, you touched on as well, they're getting their money from the wrong people, which is binding them not to be able to do what they, because remember,
they're getting
their money from them, man, the Jays, I don't know if you can say it on there or whatnot, but I don't know, the Jews, whatever, so they will stop you from wanting to build back up Africa. They won't allow you.
Stop it. All right, think about this.
They will strike you down. You try and make the moves, but don't worry. They will come and get you.
That's where we go back to
stop you from doing that.
They can't listen to this. That's why we go.
Why is there so many men dead trying to do certain things?
You know, let me break it down for you. So it's the thinking that's wrong, isn't it? Because when you get money, what do you use the money to do?
What you want to do, innit?
Which is?
Better your family, better yourself.
Yeah, but how?
By spending it on what?
On what?
The materials that need to be spent.
What materials? I'm doing this to show you, this is how people think.
Money's material, so
all right,
say that you need to buy a new house for mommy or something, you buy a new house for mom.
Yeah, but listen to what I'm saying. Okay, you just answered it a little bit. Let's use the house, yeah?
Yeah.
You want the house. It's not the money you want. You want
But
the
money's a tool, though.
I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
You want the food.
Yeah.
It's not money, it's food you want.
Yeah.
You see, so...
But man created money.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you don't want the money, you want what you think the money is going to get you. So if you could get
I know it's part of the
food,
illusion,
if you get the food, you don't need the money. And how do you get the food? You
grow it.
You grow it.
Take it.
Right, so if you can grow food and you can feed yourself,
you
don't need money to go to Sainsbury's or Tesco's or one of these supermarkets.
That's one of the things why
to buy the food.
I say, as I said, we're going back to earlier, like being here is dead because there's only a certain amount of seasons you can grow food for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, but other races are doing it.
Well, yeah, that's certain things though, but I'd rather be back in the tropics.
I know, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying
I'd rather be there.
We can't make excuses.
No,
wherever we are.
we can still do it here, don't get me wrong.
But
that's something I want to do with myself is grow my own stuff, my own
better.
food here, vegetables and certain fruits here too. Don't get it wrong, but
all right, let me get to the point.
Yeah.
Wu-Sabat, it's about getting people's minds to vibrate and think on a certain level so that you can then work together to do the things you need to do and working in harmony and in, you know what I mean? Not harming anyone, just like everybody else. Because when you're acting like a supreme being, you're respected as a supreme being. If you're acting like you're some derelict, then you will be treated like a derelict or someone who has no clue what they're doing. So this is where beings or people who are vibrating on a higher level, and it doesn't matter what color, what race you are, you just think, does it make sense for us to poison all the water and then we all can't drink water and we all need water? Does it make sense to kill all the animals to eat them? We'll look at things from a point of acting as a supreme being. Because when extraterrestrials come here, they're using their mind on a higher level. And they look at us and the things we do as barbaric. Like, why would you kill each other like the wars that are going on and, the things that people are doing on the planet? It's like an intelligent being doesn't think like that. Yeah. They think about, how do we solve the problem and have solutions that work for everyone without you guys killing each other? But the gods of the Bible, they're causing chaos. They're the ones that promoting killings and murders and all these kind of things because they feed off of that energy. Some of these beings, they love the chaos. Yeah. And the people that follow them, they provide that chaos for them by way of their actions. And this is why you have to start thinking for yourself and you're like, that doesn't make sense. Why am I doing this to myself? Why am I damaging my body, my temple, when it's only going to make me sick or it's going to make me do things or behave and act in a way that don't make sense? And when you know that, then you're going to change. That's what Wu-Sabat is about. It's like changing the way you think. And then that leads to how you act. And then you act like someone who's got sense. But people are ignorant. When people say they're ignorant, if you break down the word, it means to ignore the facts. It's not that you don't know, you're just ignoring it. It's easy to ignore things because we do things that don't make sense all the time. Because we just ignore we know it, but we ignore it. And we become ignorant. And we just do things just like, why you do that? That don't make sense. Because I'm ignorant, innit? Like that people will actually say that. And it's like, okay. Keep ignoring what's going to make your life better and see where it's going to get you. Yeah,
not far, innit?
But yeah, read the scrolls. Obviously keep watching the videos as well. Attend classes. We're reaching people all over the world, and that's because it's real. It's about real change. It's about, we want to really change the world for better. And that's the bottom line, really. It's about truth. And the people who don't want to give you truth, you have to think, why not? Because you know why? Because you be like them. This is the whole, the story in the Bible in the garden, when, if you look at it, you had a being that knew everything, or supposedly knows everything, And then he puts a tree in the garden, and they say the tree is what? The tree of good and evil.
Yeah.
So then he says, don't eat it, because when you eat it, you're going to be able to know the difference from good and evil.
Was that tree called the tree of knowledge?
Yeah.
And the tree of knowledge was the tree it wasn't supposed to eat from?
Yeah.
So what's the other tree called
But listen
again?
to what that...
No, it sounds mad. It does
exactly.
Why are you not supposed to get knowledge? What was the other tree called then if that was the tree of knowledge? I don't remember.
But this is what the knowledge, this is what we're doing here. We're giving the knowledge, because once you know the knowledge, then you're going to do and act better, because the whole story played out that the person that told the truth, they say was bad, who was supposedly this serpent. And he's a talking snake. But the person who's God, who's told them that they will die if they eat the fruit, he was lying, because when they ate it, they didn't die. You see, so now you've been tricked to follow the wrong person, and you think that that's good. So they're making evil fair seeming. And you just do wrong things thinking it makes sense when it doesn't. So, you know, the serpent told the truth. He said, when you eat of this, you're going to know. Not believe, you're going to know good from evil. And that's what people now today are trying to find out. They've been lied to for so long, doing the wrong things, thinking that they're going to go to this place called heaven or hell if they're not. And it's just all like not true.
But I kind of view this place to be hell in a way.
It is. Hell, that's what I'm trying to say. When you start to break down the word hell comes from, like any other word, different origins. Because it was a term called oh hell. Yeah? Oh, and then hell. They moved the O to the other side, and now we say hello.
Hello, yeah.
But oh hell was a place that was referred to as Hades, which is dealing with the underworld. And in every culture, again, they will tell you about the underworld.
Yeah.
But in that lesson, they're not telling you that the underworld was, you know, with the inner world called like Shambhala, or where the caverns where these other beings lived. And some of them were, you know, not very nice beings, disagreeable beings. And so they were teaching you about, you will go, when you go into that underworld, and they call it oh hell. And then now it's reversed, and people are saying hello, because everything's back to front. Like I said, they're making good bad and bad good. And you have to be able to decipher that, because when you look at like the word God, for example, if you read it backwards, what does it say?
It's a dog, isn't it?
Dog.
Yeah.
But why? And then when you start to go into, oh, who is this dog that they're talking about? You end up with the Anubis, or Anubu in ancient Egypt, who is the being that they said came to collect the souls, or is the angel of death, as they say.
Okay, like the Grim Reaper or something.
Right. But then...
Is he a dog being?
But he's not really, no. He's really there to help and guide you through this realm when you were going through the realms to the next realms. And his job was to really guide you. And give you like information to take you to the other side. But then they make that into dog, as in today when people like a dog, but then you say, which dog is that? And that goes back to the dog. We've got a book called The Dog, which deals with, you know, like we were saying about these beings that were in the Caucasus Mountains, and they basically needed the dog to help them.
Dog to help them? Yeah,
because when they had the leprosy, the dog was licking the sores and to make them heal better.
Okay.
Yeah, so they became...
Is that why...
Dog became man's best friend.
Yeah, the fascination with animals and that, because
it ties in with the DNA.
Yeah, I heard about. One time I did come across a book I got from an Islam man, and it did say something about the Caucasoids and that, and having canine DNA and that. Yeah. And the hair's like dog hair and whatnot, and things like that.
But yeah, it's like you don't really. You're not asking me the questions.
It is. That's the thing, is it's mad, because I'm going to have to come back another day and have some more questions. But I feel like most questions have been answered for me by watching the videos at home and that. Right. And most questions, I feel like I have most answers in a way, because coming from, even though the background I come from isn't fully true, but I always felt like I've been connected to the higher ones, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In some formal way.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
something was in you that was always asking.
Yeah, like, and yeah, so it's like.
So what about people around you? Like, what, in terms of like maybe your brethren or friends, like,
Well,
do they resonate with Wu-Sabat? Are they looking at you differently? Or are you not really discussing Wu-Sabat?
No, so like, no, I do discuss it a bit. I don't know, I don't know if everyone really cares too much. Like, 'cause some of my peoples are not really, like when I told my brethren earlier who left church and whatnot years ago, and he was, like, you know what I'm saying, like,
Why did he leave church?
Because he saw things in it. I was going to say earlier, some things why the Christian thing as well, because the behavior of the people in church too. I used to think to myself, okay, if we're meant to be Christ-like, why are you behaving like this? Christ never behaved like this. Why do you talk about your brother and your sister and like this stuff that goes? I don't know if you ever grew up in church or seen church, but there's a certain behavior in church that shouldn't be there, basically. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's all religion. There's people that claim to be righteous, but they don't do. And as a young youth,
looking at this, it's like, yo, I'm looking around, yo, what's going on? Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
yeah, the reality of the truth comes in when you see that the church is like a business, really. People go there sometimes, not every church, and not everyone, of course, we can't generalize, but you know, people would dress a certain way and go to church and it's like competition, how much money people are giving.
This one's talking about that one, that one's talking about that one.
So it's just a club, it's like a community where people go. If it's just for socializing, then that's no different than going to a club or something, do you know what I mean? But the spirituality aspect of it, it's kind of like, it's not.
My brethren that did lead the church at the time, when I did saw him about Wu-Sabat and that, I think he kind of took it in a little piece because it's dealing with Africa and things of Kemet and before that. So he was taking it in a little piece still.
Yeah.
But I'm not bothered about nobody else still. I'm more bothered about me.
Yeah, it's your
my mindset is I don't really care about them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's about what I view to be true or
everyone.
I stay in my lane, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm on my path. I wish everybody well and whatnot. Yeah. But I'm focused on what I gotta do, and if you don't view it to be true, that's you, innit? Like, I view it to be true. It's what I'm coming along with, and so I feel that I'm gonna stay.
Yeah, you have to learn and study and get and grow.
Be yourself, you know.
Yeah.
So, this is where I'm at.
But it's beautiful that you know, Wu-Sabat is having that effect on people around the world, and because it's time. It's like, how long can you be lied to?
Yeah, for real.
You can't sustain that. Do you know what I mean? It's like the truth is the truth, whether you like it or not, and everyone's gonna have to reckon with that, unless you want to stay in ignorance. And they say ignorance is bliss, but is it really? Because you're only fooling yourself. And the one person you can't lie to is yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
So you know when you're lying to yourself, and it's about that resonation of the vibration. Does it sit well with you? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I'm still trying to, obviously still learning more and whatnot, but yeah, it does sit right with man still. I can't even lie. I can't lie still. Like I think like anything to do with, nothing to do with them. Like I don't know. I don't want to be.
You know, but you say them.
Like, but you know, like basically like the lie is like
But remember, the lies come in all forms and
shapes
all
and forms,
races and all shapes and forms.
You can say like the colonizer then, so to say, like the one who's done us kind of wrong in a way, you know what I mean? Like lied to us, raped us, stole all the riches and whatnot. I don't really want to know about those guys anymore, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to know about, and even I'm not fully there with Wu-Sabat yet, it's still a journey, I'm gonna get there eventually, but it's like, miss me with all the other stuff. We've learned like, in school, we heard about it all already, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Give me something new, give me something about my people, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to know that stuff no more. So enough is enough, you get me?
Yeah. But again, we have to always stress in Wu-Sabat that it's not about blaming other people. And
no,
the thing
no blame,
is, people because remember that some people get stuck as well. Like, because you're carrying certain feelings or certain vibrations, and like, you can't elevate with that type of
energy.
Do you know what I mean? Energy. So you have to also, not saying we haven't recognized or understand or learn and know what happened, but you got to move on from that as well, because that's just energy you don't want to carry. You know what I mean? Because
I might have said it in a way that made it seem like I'm harboring that, but I'm not. I'm just that.
No, I'm not. Remember, when I speak as well, because you know, we're speaking to everyone as well. You know what I mean? We're having a one-to-one, but there are other people watching, and it's always important for us to recognize that we're just about uplifting humanity, because there's good and bad people in every race, and not getting hung up. Not to say like the Christian go the other way where they say turn the other cheek and that, so you can keep being abused. No, we're not about being abused, but not everyone, you know what I mean? We're inclusive. We don't want to be like, basically not alienate anyone. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that's why we have the saying, no one wins the race in racism. Because at the end of the day, when you leave here, you leave your body behind anyway. Do you know what I mean? You have to deal with your real being, that essence of, are you about, elevating to higher realms and vibrations.
Another question I wanted to ask you, actually.
You
see, the Egyptians believe that about when you cross over, that your heart will be weighed. Is that from Wu-Sabat as well? Would your heart get weighed as well, like, or not?
Yeah. But when you say your heart, right, everything that...
Or your spiritual heart or something like that. Because obviously the physical heart will be...
A lot of things that are taught, some are symbolic, some are, metaphors, some are allegories. So it depends on what situation and what story we're talking about. But that's a story that is, it's not like literally your heart's going to be taken out and weighed. It's more to do with love. Where we're dealing with what we call a shuk in Wu-Sabat, which is divine love. It's like, if you don't have that love for people, places and things, for everyone, then you're not going to really ascend. And so even in like, the first thing is, does it come from the heart? Because when you're dealing with truth, it has to come from the heart. It has to. That's one of the organs that govern. Do you know what I mean? Because the heart pumps blood around your body, and even the messages that are sent to the brain, and it's because
it's actually linked as well. The heart and the brain still,
So it's talking about your deeds, which is really everything you do. Everything vibrates. Everything has an impression, and everything is recorded by way of energy in your matrix. So when you, even as you are now physically, you have what we call a hepitest or aura around you. And that aura is the energy field and the energy that you're emitting constantly. And that's based on your thoughts, how you're thinking, and it will change the mood and the color and everything that you're projecting.
Because some people can see it, innit?
Yeah, some people can see it. So it's like on the day when you're being judged to see whether you can cross over to the next realm or come back here, that those records in your, well, we call them the Akasha records because they're stored in light, for lack of a better word, and it's energy. It will tell whether or not you have even an ounce of love in you. Your heart, or you're just so wicked. Because people can pretend. People can look and chat and smile and everything physically, but deep down, their energy and how they think and what their intentions are about,
it's not good.
It's not good, but you won't know that because they're smiling in your face and all of that. So this is something that you cannot lie about. You can't lie about your real being. Because that's why I said you can't lie to yourself. You're only fooling yourself. So when you're being weighed in that transition to cross over, they will know. These higher beings will look at you and see your being. And then you either go back.
So is that part of punishment, not having enough love? You could be sent back here.
Remember, the whole punishment thing is religion. Our ancestors don't deal with wicked and punishment and all of that. What it is, it's more like looking at it like a lesson.
You need to learn again.
You need to learn and you need to overcome that because imagine, this is a good analogy. Imagine you have in your house, you have a room and that room is just, you call it the white room. Settees are white, everything's white, everything's clean in that room. And you have another room where, people smoking in there and it's like you know what I mean? It's not the same as the pristine white room.
Yeah.
Now, if you want people to come into that room, do you want them to come in there with dirty,
now they got to come in clean. It's the white room, innit?
Yeah, you have to come in clean. So if you're at the door and you're like, nah, you can't come into this room. Because if you come into this room, you're going to mess it up.
Like,
This is why, you know, our ancestors or the elders, they used to put plastic over the chairs. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, nah, you can't go into that room and mess it up. So it's the same type of principle when people are talking about heaven. If heaven is this pristine, pure, beautiful, loving place, you can't come in there with crack and cocaine and, you know what I mean, acting like some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the same principle where it's like, okay, if you want to be allowed into this environment, come better, fix up. Yeah, so even certain like clubs or dances, you can't go in. If you come in with trainers or you're baggy, you're sagging, do you know what I mean? You know, you can't come in. You got to come in with shoes, a tuxedo. You got to come correct or you're not coming in.
Yeah, for real.
Same way that we have to look at this. But people make it all religious. They make it into heaven and hell and you're going to be punished forever and tortured and all of that. Now, our ancestors don't do that. They just literally want the best for you. But like a child, you have to be groomed and you have to be taught. Like, no, you can't run into this white room with those dirty, muddy boots.
Can we call on the ancestors as well in times of need and that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's the whole point. But what happened is, the reason you don't get help, because you're calling on the wrong people or the wrong ones. Yeah. It's a liberty.
What happens then? Because I remember one time I come in there before and I told you about an experience I had one time,
Yeah.
And I was calling out for Jesus, innit?
Yeah, because you didn't know no better.
Yeah, for a couple of times, but I think...
You might call out for Jesus.
I think the first couple of times I wasn't working or it wasn't working the first time. And then I questioned, because it was like a sleep paralysis type of thing, innit?
Yeah.
And I questioned the beings that were bothering me, innit?
Yeah.
And they said who they were, whatnot. And then I was like, oh shit. And then I called out for Jesus again. But it lifted, but knowing that this Jesus thing ain't fully correct and whatnot, could the ancestors intervened?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. That's what happens all the time.
Because I'm calling on this person that's not.
Yeah, but they know. Okay, that goes back to what I was saying about your heart. Yeah, they know your intentions.
Yeah,
they know you don't know, and you're just in a situation where you need help, innit? So you're gonna call on what you know. So they're gonna think, okay, we know he wants help. Yeah, he don't know us, so we'll help him, and then try and guide you to the right path. You know, people have been like, I've been in a situation where you're driving, you could either be intoxicated or whatever, and you fall asleep on the wheel, but you still get home. And you're like, how did I get home? They can literally take the wheel and take control and guide you. But I'm saying is, this is why learning the language is good, because you need to know the right tones. You need to know who you're calling on. Because when you're in a situation where you really need help, you hear people say this, anybody, anything, just help me. And when you say that, you're not realizing what you're literally saying, because you're opening that gateway, that door for anyone and any being to come and take over.
Mad still,
And then they will be like, you owe me now, innit? And then you've now just sold your soul or sold yourself to this entity, because you just said, anyone. Do you know what I mean? Oh, like people would say, the Most High, or God, or whoever you are. You know what I mean? Like, we know in Wu-Sabat exactly who these beings are, or who we're calling on. So we say their names and their tone and connect with them. It's like a phone call. If you're trying to get help from your brethren and you're calling the wrong number, you're never gonna get through to
them. You're never gonna get through,
and you'll be like, wrong number until you dial the right number and get through. Then you'll be like, you know what? Something's going down, I need you, come help me. That's what it is. We have to open the right channel, the right connection to these ancestors. Another time, I won't get too deep into it, but one time I was sleeping, my being said to me, yo, something's about to, I might have told you this one time before and I popped in one time, something's about to happen. So I was like to myself, what's gonna happen? Nothing can happen. I'm sleeping. I'm cool. And the next minute, it was that bothering again. I felt this like
this vibe, like something over me. I it could have been whatever, being whatever, but it was the vibration of like being held down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was like that battle again, like, and obviously the vibration makes a sound as well, innit? So it was like kind of. I was thinking, wow, like how's this happening again? Like, but that time, that experience was different because it was kind of astonishing to me that my being said to myself, something's about to happen. Like, and I'm questioning, like, what can possibly happen? I'm sleeping.
This is what we do. We have higher senses.
Yeah.
You know, like we call it intuition, telepathy, clairvoyance, psychometry. These are things that we have, but we are not aware of them. So like a lot of times you would hear the voice in your head that is trying to warn you about that people call it, you know, the sixth sense.
Was that me or was that ancestors or a bit of both?
It could be it could be your ancestors, it could be your higher self. You know, those beings that are looking out for you, or that are agreeable, they will try to help you and warn you. But because you're not communicating with them all the time and you're not aware, it happens randomly. But the more you train yourself and learn how, because when you're vibrating, it's because, like you say, those energy centers that people call chakras, they're vibrating or opening up because they're like gateways or portals to different dimensions. And this is why you're able to tap in or connect to those dimensions. And sometimes you will receive impressions or messages telling you the right thing to do. But most of the time, if you're not in tune with your voice, what you do is you make it silent. You kind of ignore it. You keep ignoring it. And then you go, I knew I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. I heard that you told me don't go there, but I still went anyway. You see, so yeah, it could be your ancestors, it could be your higher self talking to you, trying to help you, because you got beings that are disagreeable, that are trying to guide you in a different direction.
Why do you think these things happen, or why are they coming to try and, I don't know, bother man or bother us as people in a whole? Like, why are they?
Because
they want man's shell. Do they want to come inside? Do they? Like,
some do. Some want to take your vessel and control you, utilize you as a tool to do what they want to do. This is why it's not good to be like, you know, when people are like angry or they're in a situation where, like, they say I see red. Yeah. And they will do something because the entity or those beings that like that energy, that vibration, they will step in, use your body to do something and come out.
Something come over me, I stabbed them up and...
Exactly. And then the next thing they're like, what? Why did I do that? Then you're going jail and doing life or doing time. But if you were aware, you'd be able to control yourself. You know what I mean? Like, more time, if you just think and you're in control of what you're thinking all the time, then you're gonna not react or put that energy into emotions. That's what we say, emotions. Because your emotions will get the better of you and you do something and then regret it afterwards. So we teach you how to basically, basically be in control of your being on all levels, physically, spiritually, mentally. Yeah, so you can act like a supreme being and do great things instead of, you know what I mean, being ignorant and on a low vibration. Yeah.
Because I tried to like, not be in a low state, always think positive.
Yeah, because like, those beings are in a low state. That's what they need. They need that vibration.
I've always been that way, like where I'm not really trying to be on the hype, be overly argumentative. Like I've never. Yeah, because that leads. You know what that leads to. Yeah, because it drains, man. And as I got older, I realized what it fully does, innit? And why I'm the way I have been. Like, like just easy going, laid back, free spirit type of thing, you know what I'm saying? Not in a hype, mix up.
Even that's another term, the free spirit thing, because without realizing it, when people say I'm a free spirit, they're also saying that I don't want to be disciplined and learn and be taught.
Oh, not with me at all.
No, I'm not saying that with you because you hear the buzzwords. I'm a free spirit, commonly though, meaning like, what does that mean, really? Because you have to remember with Wu-Sabat and with the master teacher, you have 360 degrees of the physical world and 360 degrees of the spiritual world. You need to learn both sides so you can be balanced. So if you're not a spiritual master, then you need to be taught. And a spiritual master is the best person to teach you. So when people say I'm a free spirit, I can do what I like and do what I want and all of that, that also leads to problems. You know, you hear that. I deal with, you know, people say YOLO. You only live once. Like, no, you don't. The fact is you live many times. You can live up to 24,000 times. So just that term is made like a fashion thing to make people think I don't need to work on myself because I only live once. So this is the only chance I've got. So let me just live and do anything I want until when they cross over.
That's what it's more for still.
And they come back. And then it's like, oh, I was fooled to think I only live once. This is why people will be like, let me just get the Rolexes, get the cars, get the houses, just live my best life, which is your worst life.
But that can drive people down the wrong path too, to go and get these materials too.
That's right, and die and
you
kill
only
for
live
it.
once.
Because you're thinking I only live once, when you don't. You see, that's just little things. Even like when you look at the Bible, even like in the New Testament, they say in the beginning was the Word, right? And people kind of skip that and be like, okay, well, what was the word? And you go into the Greek, it's like logos. But even that, you say logos, you can hear it says low ghost. Because these low ghosts, because when you're dealing with disembodied beings that are trapped here, that can't make it to the other realms, they're just roaming around. And they ain't got nothing to do. So they want to mess with you. They want to get you to do things and entertain them, feed off of your energy. So these low ghosts, or the ghost spell, people say gospel. That's why when you really start to break the words down that you're saying
every day, ghost spell.
Yeah, but you're saying gospel.
Singing, so gospel music is ghost spells.
Yeah, because those spells just perpetuate the same
but that's
spell
mad though.
all the time. Yeah, we can break that down.
Yeah, because
like,
is that, for example, like, man want to listen to a gospel song, and like, I got a favourite gospel song, by the way, actually, as well.
Yeah.
And every time I listen to that song as well, it touches my spirit as well, like, it takes you kind of like a high vibration.
Yeah, but remember, that's what I'm saying. Like, remember, not everybody knows what they're doing. Some people are doing things ignorantly because they want that connection, but they're just being misled. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we break words down because phonetics. You remember, even the word Jesus, as you said before, you're not realizing you're saying Jah and Zeus, but it's a tone, it's a vibration, and every time someone says that, it's emitting that vibration. Now imagine people saying that all across the world every day.
So like energy going to that
being.
energy
is going to that being. And it's the same with the other words, God, whatever term you're using.
But you see,
these
Zeus,
are beings that...
You see Jesus comes from Zeus and whatnot, Was Zeus a man though? A man? Yeah. It was,
it was a Greek... when you say man, sorry, go on.
I was about to say he's a man, but he's a mere man, like a normal man. Even though we're made in the image of God.
You're a man, innit?
Yeah, I'm a man too.
But if you were like a very important man in this society, like if you were the prime minister, you're a man, but now you got a title where people respect you because you've got a high, you know what I mean, title. It's the same when you look at Zeus in the Greek world.
So he
was made into a god.
He's a false god.
Well, you say false, but they're different gods for different cultures and different societies. But false to you, it's not for you. So
like,
in that sense, it's a false god.
When I would say like a real god is like the real gods, like you say the Neteru and that, those are like real higher beings, real gods.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Like the problem is every race vibrates on a particular frequency. Your body vibrates on a frequency, different tones.
Yeah. And
the beings that you connect with that are linked to your blood and your lineage, they vibrate with you. So every race has gods in their image and they call on those tones and those names. It's just that when you're calling on them,
they don't link to me because we're not from the same bloodline and whatnot.
Exactly, they're not going to link to you. It's not that they're gods, that's why they call them familiar spirits. The familiar spirits or the family spirits of those beings. So that's why we say Greeks and Romans are not going to be vibrating as high for you, even though you're calling on them as your ancestors. It's like, imagine, you got a child, but your child don't like you, or don't respect you, or tries to be someone else, like bleach their skin, try to do something that is not you. You're going to look at them like, why don't you like yourself? That means you don't like me, and you come from me as an offspring. It's the same principle when it comes to these tones and these gods. Every race is calling on gods in their own image and that relates to them.
So Zeus is a god to, let's say, a Caucasian or someone then. A real
Greeks.
Yeah, to the
if
Greek.
you go back and research who Zeus was, because they like Jah.
Yeah.
Even when you shorten it to Jah, it's coming from, like they say, Jehovah. That Jah goes back to these Anunnaki beings.
Okay.
Yeah, who those names then got passed down through religion to different people. So even now the Rastafarians will say Jah, but they don't look. They're saying Yah in Hebrew because it's Yah.
Because there was no J's at the time and that, innit?
And Way. The two become Yahweh. But then when they take out the vowels, you get what they call the tetragram, which is basically like if you look at Yah, you leave out the E, then you go Y, then you H, and then you leave out the E. But when you look at that backwards, it's HUHI.
HUHI.
Which ties into ancient Egypt. Because Hu was the creative god of will in Egypt. So I'm saying, so now in Egypt, it will be Hu and He, or HUHI, which becomes Yahweh. So the tones have changed.
Yeah.
So now the Greeks, the Romans, the Jews, they're going Yahweh. But it comes from Hu or HUHI in ancient Egypt. You see, so we can do that with many what people will call gods, because the Egyptians had their own system. Like they will say, Osiris, Isis, Ra, Amun.
I also think what I was trying to say is that is Zeus someone, just a man who was just claiming to be a god?
No, but that's what I'm saying. He was a god. It's like, okay, think about today, There have been many prime ministers in this country, right? Like in America, there have been many presidents. Those people are the highest point in their career in that society. And so much so that they put them on the money, and if you know what I mean, they put them in big statues and all of that. So they've elevated to a point where they're looked at as gods.
But that's from society. I'm trying to. Society's made them look, but
I'm saying what you're calling a god is just a person.
Yeah, okay,
beings that have got power, or like they've been recognized as being great. But when you look at them, they actually.
So there's a human level, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but when you're human, you've also got your spiritual and your mental and the other counterparts. So the more you do in this world,
but you
get remembered.
But you still can't claim a position to be worshipped like that, though. Just being a bare man like that, like.
Yeah, but people do that now. Like Bob Marley, Michael Jackson, Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, James Brown. You can name people who have.
Well, they get idolized, but are they really asking for worship?
But listen to the word idol.
Yeah.
So what is an idol?
Yeah.
People worship idols, innit?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And then they make statues of them. And then people say, that's my...
But that isn't a real higher being, though, is it like that, though, is it? That
when you say higher being, as in...
For example,
why do you need to worship, though?
I don't know, but I heard that we got a worship gene in us. There's the actual...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the programming in religion, because it tells you God needs worship.
But is that worship gene even true, though, that is within us?
Yeah,
it is.
Because you program yourself by the way you think and the things you do.
But I heard that it was actually put into us.
Yeah, but I know where that story is coming from. That's coming from people that talk about the Anunnaki, and they explain that your DNA was manipulated and certain genes were, and
that's
you
true.
also have the God gene in you, which they call the HUHI gene. So that's what I'm saying. You can activate the God gene.
Or the worship gene.
Right.
But my thing is, but
I'm saying you can,
that though?
You can program yourself.
No, but do we deserve that though? Are we in a position?
What do you mean deserve it?
Like
Who's we?
Like for example, if I said, what? Even though I am a god, I'm made in the god's images, whatever, the god's image. So, correct me if I'm wrong as well, innit? You get me?
I'm saying it's your view of what you're calling God. That's the problem. Because in your mind, that's why when I say God sits down, walks, talks, and does things like a person or human.
Well, let's say the way man's been taught.
What you're looking at in your mind as God, it's what I'm saying is, so what are you looking at as God in your mind? Because that's got to come from what you've been
cool.
taught.
So the way I'm looking at it, because we're still learning and whatnot, God is obviously the creator, innit? We know it's not fully that, but I'm just letting you know where I'm at in the mind type of thing.
Yeah, that's religion though.
I'm just trying to explain it,
Yeah.
So we're saying that, God is the guy who done everything,
I'm not saying that.
I'm just saying. The guy done everything, yeah.
The guy that done everything.
So then we got Zeus trying to claim.
Yeah, but I'm
to
saying
be like
you
this
can't
guy.
start off wrong and go down that road. This is what people do. They follow the wrong path and try to make it make sense. When it doesn't make sense. You're trying to know what a God is, right? Is that your question?
Yeah, I'm trying to answer your question
I'm not asking a question.
No. You asked me what am I saying what a God is, innit? Or
yeah, because what I'm saying is people have been programmed to think what a God is.
Yeah.
And that programming is what they've got in their mind when they're saying God. So but when you say to them a God is just someone that has power or has been like recognized to be in a high position, then it's just like you and me. But if you were well known and you had power and wealth and you were at a certain position, you're God. Because a God is someone that's in control. And once you've been elevated to that state, like look at, say, Haile Selassie, people think he's God.
Yeah, they thought he was a God. Yeah, they thought he was.
Name anyone that they call God. Jesus was a man. He came here, walked, talked, done everything, and they say he's God. Muhammad, the same thing. Everyone that people are calling God, it's only...
Well, I think there's a slight confusion in my head at the same time.
That's what the problem
is. Trying to get out of it.
Yeah, you have to get out of that.
viewed God to be this one person who's done everything in it. Yeah, so a next man trying to imitate this down here is meant to have done everything.
But he didn't. That's
what
I'm saying.
I know, but I'm just saying that. Yeah. I know you know the truth, and we're getting to the truth, and
You're learning.
Yeah,
I'm learning. Trying to correct.
And I view the things that you know to be true too. Also, you get me, but I'm just trying to.
What I'm saying is, you can't make sense out of confusion.
Yeah, I know.
And that's what people try to do. They try to make excuses. When we start to show you that this God you're talking about is not that great, because he makes mistakes. He walks, he talks, he's angry. He's killing people. He's doing all kinds of madness. And you're thinking he's all holy and thou and all like he created everything. And that's not the reality. That's these Elohim, Anunnaki, Anakim, and these beings that were just walking the planet. And they confuse you because you had two brothers, for example, looking at the Anunnaki story. Enlil will tell people, eat meat. And then Enki will say, don't eat meat. Yeah. So now two people telling you two different things, you're lost, you're confused. So in the Bible, when one God is telling you do this, another one is saying do that, and then you're just confused because they are battling with each other. They're at war with each other. So they're both doing different things and the opposite, and now you as humanity are following them, and there's like conflict between the gods. And you get caught up in that mess because one is telling you do this, another one's telling you do that in one place, and the next one comes back and says do that.
But also for you have to practice to know what's true or not too, because you need to give that example of you should eat meat and don't eat meat. Yeah, I've been on both ends.
Right, because
and I know the difference, and I know one is better for you. Yeah, which is the plant-based.
Right, but that's because you resonate with that. But if you're resonating more on the other side, like your nature that needs meat. So if you want to be an angry person all the time and just like be, you know what I mean, that negative being, then you're gonna eat that meat because it's gonna give you the aggression. It's gonna make you more of the reptilian side of you, and that's what I'm saying. That on the planet, you have influences by these gods that are telling you do this and do that, and some people they know naturally they shouldn't eat meat, but then it's been programmed and normalized to the point where you do it without even realizing. But if someone comes along and says to you, do you know you're not really supposed to eat meat? I'll be like, nah, man, I can't stop eating meat. I love it. That's what some people will say. And then you say, but you're not a natural meat eater. Because if you were, you wouldn't need to season it. You only season it so you can bear to eat it. Because if I gave you a raw, but then there's some people that now you give them a raw piece of meat with blood and everything, and they will just yam it.
But we're not, as you said, designed like by our teeth. We're not carnivores. We ain't have fangs and things to like a lion. You see how lion rip apart meat?
Yeah.
Well, our teeth are made for grinding and biting, so it shows grains and.
But that's when you're thinking as a supreme being, and you're.
But these are other teachers I came across too, even before you. I did watch one documentary called I think it was called Game Changers or something.
The Game Changers, yeah, I know that.
That what made me want to go. That made me go plant-based, vegetarian for a year. I did it for a year.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the kind of fitness industry and the sports and them things that kind of get my mind going. I like things like that. You get me?
Yeah.
Learn about the blood and whatnot and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, because you can change your whole DNA.
You feel better.
You feel better.
You look better. You vibrate different. It's good for you. I want to go back to it still, but I did fall back in it.
But that's the thing that the consistency, because
it's got to be consistent. Yeah,
people will give up after a while, like because everybody's been taught to have everything instantly. Everything's fast food, fast this, fast that, fast cars. Do you know what I mean? It's like no one has time to slow down and really think. It's just like, and that type of food that is prepared like fast in a conveyor belt type of thing, like it's just like that. There's no real love put into the food. This is why we keep saying about the love seat, your heart seat. It's about, do you do things, are you doing it with love? Are you doing it with like care? Is it just like synthetic? Is it real or is it false? And nobody really wants to be in a situation that's false. People want love and realness. They don't want like, you know what I mean, just chaos and confusion. So yeah, it's all about learning and and then changing. Because you can have information, if you don't put it into action and practice it, there's no use of having it. Yeah, you know. So is that it, or you got?
We would touch about. I showed you earlier about when I was in that state of like prayer meditation, and I told you that I was like asking for forgiveness and forgiving those who trespass against me and things like that. Do you know what I'm saying? And I told you how inside the mind it turned blue. Yeah. And I was explaining because I told my other brethren today, because obviously I told you you were the second person I told. Yeah. Remember I told you the first person I told was my girlfriend. Yeah. Because she was right next to me when I experienced that. Yeah. So you're the second person, and I told my other brethren today, he's the third person. So obviously now the world may know this. Yeah. Everyone know now, but I was telling him today is that raw, because it made more sense after talking to you about it, is that the reason why you can see dark, when I close my eyes now, it's dark, innit? The reason I can probably see that is because there's an eye in there, innit? To see the darkness, innit? So when it changed from black to blue, obviously it makes it be known to me anyway, that there's an eye there to see the colour change, innit? So
have you not ever wondered, when you go into a dark room, how are you able to see? Like if you wait a few seconds, you can start to see. That's because you've got a light inside of you. That, like you say, radiates. This is what we call like your solar plexus. Even your seat, and even if you go back to the beginning, like God was in darkness. Yeah. Because he said, let there be light. So obviously that's the state you're going into. This is why most people go back into darkness when they want to have a peaceful sleep. Yeah. When people turn off the lights, they go back to darkness, because that darkness is the darkness where it's known as supreme balance, where you can tap into your higher self or your higher being. Now, the blue you're talking about, again, we break this down and cover this on our online course and in the book as well, because what you're dealing with is going back to those chakras that I was talking about, and their seat, and they emanate and give off a frequency, a vibration, a color, and a light and sound. So the blue is a very highly spiritual color, because if you look at the different seats, like you'll have different vibrations, like the red, which deals with like lust. Then as you go up in the colors, you start to get like the yellow, the green, which is the yellow, which deals with intellect. Then the green is a very highly healthy spiritual color as well. So these moods and different vibrations are literally you able to tap into that energy source. So it's like you say, when you're in that state, you can then go into those different vibrations. And this is what people do when they're meditating, when they're relaxing, when they're trying to, open their third eye as it goes. So you do have an inner eye. Yeah, and in Islam they'll call it, they say, what's the term they use? But they look at it like it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because they try to block you from, they call it the evil eye. That's what I was trying to remember. They call it the evil eye.
But they would say the same thing in Christianity, though, isn't it? That's a bad thing as well, though,
Yeah,
isn't it?
because remember that religions, they're about control.
Yeah.
They're about you worshipping these beings, Moloch, or these, they call them Malaika, or, you know, they call them angels, but in the language you're dealing with Moloch. And this Moloch is this being that ties into like Nana and these beings that when they go to the Bohemian Grove, they got the big owl.
The big, yeah.
And the owls, because they
Light
say
for
that
fire and that,
they're enlightened, they basically the Illuminati or the illuminated ones, and the owl can see in the dark. You see, that's the symbology of the owl, and it can twist his head. Does a 360.
Yeah.
So they're basically saying, like, when you look at the dollar bill or you look at the pyramids and they have the eye at the top, that's the all-seeing eye, as they put it. But again, that symbology that breaks down into like deeper information once you know the mysteries. And those higher mysteries is what was taught in ancient Egypt. Because if you see everything on like the dollar bills, we're literally talking about ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
Everyone was taught and initiated in ancient Egypt of the higher mysteries. But most of the Europeans were taught the lesser mysteries. And these lesser mysteries of the 3 degrees that they were given is what became religion today. And it also became, you know, what people are saying they're using to run the world. And, you know, that ties into other things. But it's all relating to you being able to tap into the real you and your real eye opening so you can see clearly, what we call being clairvoyant. And being able to see beyond dimensions and being able to pick up frequencies and like know intuitively something that's about to happen through intuition. You're able to like walk in a room and feel the energy, feel the vibration. You can feel people's energies and vibration. You can read people's minds through telepathy. They just send you thoughts and you just pick it up and you're like, wow, may move in a certain way. But these things come by way of you transforming yourself. Like you say, with your diet, with your thoughts, with the way, the things you are doing, how you treat people. Is it from the heart? Is it with love? Do you know what I mean? And this is all things you learn in Wu-Sabat. Because any spiritual master is going to teach you these higher things. It's like higher vibrations. So yeah, it's really down to each person. You have to do the work though. You have to put in the work. It's not, you know, it's not just given to anyone. That's why even when the Jesus of the Bible speaks in parables, he talks like that. Like, you can't take pearls and throw them to swine, or, you know, you can't literally, if everyone could just not do any work to get, you know what I mean, the good stuff,
and I probably
everybody will be getting it, but it doesn't work.
I probably that's why I can't go back there as well, because I did it like unknowingly as well. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? And I remember I told you earlier, I tried to command it back, like, yo, let's go. But it weren't working.
Because you were actually sincere at that point. Like you said, you were really saying, you know, forgive my enemies.
Yeah, I was almost weeping. I think I was weeping. I was in tears.
Yeah, that's real. That's when people that go on their knees and they're sincere and they pray. And even though they think they're praying to God or to Jesus or all these beings they've been told, it's really sincerity from their heart, and that they will cry. This is what they call repentance, when you really mean it. And these higher beings will know if you're real, if you mean it by way of your sincerity and vibration. It's not just some, oh, God help me, and begging. It's like you're really saying, look, forgive me for what I've done, and I want to forgive people for what they've done. And that's releasing that energy. Like I was saying, like, you can't hold on to that energy. You can't, like, people like say people are bad mind and people are going to send me this energy and send, it's like people then say, I'm going to hold that energy or send it back or return it back to sender. But if you're doing that, you're just as bad as them.
Yeah, of course. So
you've got to learn how to take that energy, transform it into positive or goodness, and send it back out into the world. That's the light of Wu-Sabat. It's really about us converting this disagreeableness to a planet that is going to be vibrating and on a you know, a radiation that's good for us and good for people and good for the beings. And to do that, these disagreeable and negative energies and beings have to go.
So is the Neteru going to come back and get rid of these guys then, or what? Is it going to...
You know, when people say that again, I know you're still learning, like, you're the Neteru. Everyone's waiting for someone else to come and do
we got to do the job.
Yeah, you are the person that's got to do the job. Obviously,
they can't be spoken on camera, I don't think.
But that's where we speak up line and work together and trying to do things. But I'm saying, people have to remember they're the gods they're talking about. But they're always looking for someone to come and save them or someone else to do the work.
I'll get back to a point. The God thing's kind of wrong. It's a title, whatnot, yeah. But even though it says that we was made in his image or the image of the gods and whatnot, so we got godly kind of powers, even though we're mortal at the same time in a way in this physical realm. Like even though we go back, the energy don't die and whatnot, but you can still die as a man. You know what I mean, type of thing.
Yeah, physically.
Yeah, physically. So, is it wrong? It's not wrong to say you're a god, though, innit? Because you got right.
It's not.
Yeah, because it's in the Bible. I know.
Yeah, it tells you that you are.
Ye are gods and blah blah blah. But
so what's your question?
It's not wrong to say I'm a god, innit? Yeah.
No, it's not, because this is what Jesus was saying. He was like, "You're killing me for saying."
But my point I'm trying to get to,
Son of God.
Is it wrong for me then to say I want to be worshipped and praised?
Yeah, but why?
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I was saying earlier, like with Zeus and that. Then I was.
But people that are worshipped and praised.
One second. The point I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
It should be wrong for him to want that as well. Then
who said he wanted that though?
No, because obviously man's calling onto him, innit? Because through.
But people, that's why I gave you the example. Like, if you want to be a basketball player, and say Michael Jordan's the best basketball player according to you, you want to emulate or be like him. Or if you're a singer or a rapper or whatever, people look up to people who are doing great things. But the thing is, it's other people that make those people into gods. Like I gave you the Haile Selassie thing.
Yeah, I know.
He never said he was God. Jesus never said he was God.
That's my point. Do you deserve that though?
No, but I'm trying to say that it's like me or you, yeah. There are people who will start to think I'm not a man like them, like the master teacher. He's like, I'm just like you.
Yeah.
I go to toilet, I eat, I do things just like you. I'm a man God. I'm not this spook God that you've been told that's in heaven and he doesn't do anything wrong and he knows it. That's not reality.
But I heard that those
what
guys,
I'm saying is, but there are people who will elevate someone and start worshipping them and look into them like they're gods. It's not the person.
Didn't
it's the
Zeus
people.
want that though? Because there were certain of the Greek guys that made it that way, so the power came to them. If you know what I mean?
No, what I'm saying is they set it up in a way that if you were of a certain level, especially remember the family. It's like now, like if people look at now, they're calling Trump the king. I don't know if you've noticed, right?
No.
Yeah, if you go and do some research, everyone's calling him the king now, and elevating him from being a president to being the king of the kingdom, right? So what I'm saying is like, when you're successful or at a level that people think is beyond their reach, they start to look onto you and worship you and idolize you. You see what I'm saying? I-D-L-E, not I-D-O-L. But the thing is, they both sound the same. So when you say idol, oh, Michael Jackson is my idol, let's say, people are not hearing phonetically, they're saying,
you're idolizing him.
You're idolizing him, but then you're also worshipping him in a sense because you've made him into an idol. But the Bible says you shouldn't make.
Worship no idol. Yeah,
right. So now people are worshipping
statues and things.
Kanye West and all these celebrities as idols, and that's a trick again. That's what technology is. So what I'm saying to you is, all the greatest teachers were humble. They were like, the works that I do, you can do greater. You know what I mean? Because if you learn everything they know, plus what you've got twice now. So I'm just saying to you that, real people, like our ancestors, the Ethereans are humble. They're just like, you can be like me. You have the power to be a supreme being. You've just fallen down because of, do you know what I mean? Now you've lost the information and the knowledge. and we need to give it back to you. And you can do godly things. But the beings that are afraid of you to become who you're supposed to be, that want to keep control and control everyone and just teach lies, they don't like that, because you're now exposing them to say, but wait a minute, this God you're telling me to worship, he's not all that, because he's making mistakes and he's doing all these things just like me. So then that's where the problem is, because there are people that step in between you and knowing of the real gods that you're like, and they pass themselves off as being gods, and they tell you, you must do this, you must do that, you must worship
the
me.
whole Christian thing, me for like,
right, the whole religion thing.
Yeah.
And they just set you off not connecting with yourself. Because even in Islam, they tell you that Allah, the highest you can get to is the bosom of Allah. When you say to someone, well, where's your bosom? Where's your bosom? Right there, where your heart is. So that's, you need to go inside yourself and tap into that godliness within you. Yeah. And being a god is not like the hocus pocus, because that God doesn't exist. That says, let there be light and let there be this and let there be that, and it just happens like magic. That's not reality. The gods that actually do the work, they build things, they build structures, they invent things, and they, you know what I mean? They actually do work. That's the kind of gods we are.
Okay.
Not the blasphemy, like, oh, you can't say you're God, but then I say, but God says that in the Bible.
Yeah, I've seen it in John and I think maybe in Psalms, of one of them chapters.
John 10:34, Psalms 82:6, Exodus 7:1.
I've told certain Christians that as well before, but they're like, they don't really want to.
Yeah, but you know, when you say Christians, again, that's such an open term, because there's good Christians, there's bad Christians. There are Christians that don't even read the book. They don't study it. They just go to church, listen to a sermon, clap, dance, go home. Yeah. Do the same thing every Sunday for 20 years. They're not learning anything. And it's the same with, you know, other religions as well. They don't take the time to read and study their own book. So then when you say to them, I was talking to a Christian that stopped me on the street, and I came up with this God thing. He said, no, you can't say that. I said, what if I was to show you in the book that you're holding in your hand? And they'd never seen that quote. And then when they read it, it was like,
gobsmacked.
Yeah. And then the next thing is they tried to make excuses. Oh, that's a big G. That's a little G. When it says you're God, that's what I'm saying. These are games. They say if it's spelt with a capital G, that's the high God. And if it's a small G, it's a low God. But this is something that it's, again, technology, because in the language, there's no such thing as big G, little g, or, you know what I mean? So
that's someone making himself a fool.
Yeah, because they benefit from it.
I don't know.
I think we've exhausted our time.
I'll come back another day if I got some more in it.
Yeah, we're always here. We like to have these conversations so that other people can learn through them. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad you came.
Yeah, always. Take care. Blessings. Well, blessings.
Yeah. Tawul tat, I'd like to say.
That's it, tawul tat, yeah?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
In our language. And wadu.
Wadu, is that goodbye?
Bye.
Bye, wadu.
Wadu.
So rahubat.
Greetings.
Hello. Greetings.
Yeah.
What's the other one again?
Wadu.
Wadu.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
And you said you're welcome as well. What's the other one? Or you said something else?
Yeah, I didn't say you're welcome, but I could say that, which is like, if you say something, I will say, because I'm speaking to a male, I will say antak, which is you, a male person, you are welcome. So I'll say antak athir afua, which means you're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Afua.
Well, I say no problem, like na'ut shakal.
Na'ut shakal.
You see, you're picking up the tones very well. Very
when I was in Morocco on Saturday, I was trying to repeat some people, but you see that they got a lot of that. It's a bit much, innit?
Yeah, but it's good for you. You have to learn. That's all. Learn the language and you will get all that.
I felt that my tongue was easier to take on the African language more. You know what I mean? Than the Arabic, because that's Arabic, innit? Some of it's that, and it's a bit much. Like, I can't really say it. Yeah. Even one word you said the other day in the video, I tried to attempt it. It seemed a bit Arabic as well. Like you.
No, because Arabic comes from that language, you see.
One from Wu-Sabat?
Yeah.
Okay.
From Misbatia, what's the name of it? Yeah. All languages come from Misbatia.
Okay.
And that's why you find like similarities. And they will say it's the other way around. They will say we're getting it from them, but we're like, but this existed before your language. So like, you hear those type of sounds that you use the throat, like haradu. So it's learning to use your
You did some like triple R thing in one video.
The ra, like rahubat.
No, not right. It's another word. You were speaking to the Christians and you said something. I gotta find it. I'll send you a video and you said it. But I tried to pronounce it, but it weren't working out. It was a bit much for man still. But I gotta keep practicing, innit?
Yeah, with the language, you know, we just gotta keep practicing. Okay. It's just tones, vibrations, and frequencies. All right, wadu.